Yes, people, wifey boy, and now we've got into another international break. It's time to do a tier list. This time, I'm looking at all 20 Premier League teams and giving my thoughts on whether they've exceeded my expectations so far, done about as well as I expected, or done worse than I thought so far, as every team has played 7 games so far in the Premier League. So yeah, I've got the tier list up on the screen with me, split screen with the Premier League table, so we can all have a look at who I believe did well, worse than I thought, or about as good. If you're new around it, if you enjoy football and Arsenal content, please consider subscribing on my road to 700. I do a lot of these videos and I hope you guys enjoy it, and leave in the comment section down below your thoughts on whether you think the team did better, you don't agree with my list, or do agree with my list. As always, this is my opinion, so it's not necessarily the right idea, it's just what I think based on what I've seen from the teams. I'm going to go in the order that it's given on the list, in the tier list, and it is in chronological order, starting with Arsenal Football Club, my club. We sit in 11th, and I'm teetering, to be honest, between as I expected and worse than I expected. But between the two, I'm going to put worse than I expected. The reason is, did I expect us to be high this season? Not by any means, but we are in 11th. We'd won 3, drawn 1, and lost 3. You could say, oh, this is you got too high expectations for your club. To be honest, I thought we'd at least get a point against Brentford. That was poor. Did I think we'd get anything from Man City and Chelsea? Not necessarily. But I thought like we'd get something from Brighton as well. And to be honest, sitting in 11th is worse than I think for our club. I think we need to be top 8 after the first 7 games. So I'm going to have to put Arsenal worse than I expected. But it's not far from my expectations. I definitely can't put it in exceed expectations. But it's in between as I expected and worse than I expected. Aston Villa now. Aston Villa sit in 10th. And to be honest, it's as I expected for them. It's going to be an adjustment period. They lost Jack Grealish, their best player. They replaced him very well, in my opinion. Not doing bad. Like, I look at the table here. 3 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses. Same record as Arsenal. And they sit on 10 points as well. It's not bad. It's not a bad start for Aston Villa. Of course, it's going to be an adjustment period losing Jack Grealish. I think they've got the good foundations in place. And they will finish slightly higher than this, I believe, around the 9th position. But 10th time, basically where I expected for Aston Villa. Brentford, wow. Number 1 team to exceed expectations for me. What a start to the season for Brentford. 1-3, drawn 3, and only lost 1 game. If any promoted side to lose one of their first opening 7 Premier League games and that's it, unbelievable start. They'd snap your hand off right there and then. It's literally that they've done so well. They're attacking well. They're defending well. They've obviously got a great manager in Thomas Frank. I was unsure of him going into the season whether he could compete in the Premier League, being his first time in the Premier League. But boy, has he done well. He's playing that back 5 superbly. He's got Ivan Toney being physical. He's got Mbomu. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's scoring goals for them. Of course, they got Wissa off the bench, scored against West Ham just down the last minute, and scored against Liverpool, of course, the snatcher point. Great start to the season for Brentford, the definition of a club that's exceeded my expectations so far this season. And to join them, the other one, Brighton, next on the list, exceeded my expectations as well. What a start to the season for Graham Potter and Brighton. Obviously, got a point against Arsenal, my team, on the weekend on Saturday, and they deserved more, to be fair. Started season 4 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. Outstanding start. Honestly, you can't ask for a better start. It's a pipe dream for Brentford and Brighton to start like this. I never achieved it. Fair play to them. I can see Graham Potter being snapped up by a better team. I honestly think, I'm not a Spurs fan, obviously they're my rivals, I hate them, but I can honestly see Tottenham Hotspur getting Graham Potter. I can honestly see if Nuno doesn't work out, because he's a very good manager, Graham Potter, a very underrated manager, and I think he will do well at Spurs if they want to snap him up. But yeah, for now, he's at manager of Brighton, and he's done absolutely amazing to put them in 6th position, so exceeded my expectations. Burnley, they're sitting 18th. I'm going to put worse than I expected. Did I think Burnley were going to be literally being amazing this season and shooting up the table? No, I don't think any of us did. But to sit in 18th is slightly worse than I expected. I did predict they were going to get relegated, but it's still been a disappointing start. Yet to win a game in the Premier League. Drawn 3, lost 4. So you can't put them in as I expected, because I'd at least expect you to win their first 7 games. They haven't done that. They've stuck to what they know with being physical, and it just hasn't worked out. The corner guy they signed, though, wow, what a signing from Lyon. He's looking like a great player for them. But I think overall, it's not what I expected of them. I think they need to definitely pick up wins. Any time now would be nice for them, let's be real, after the international break. But for now, Burnley sit worse than I expected. Chelsea now. Now, I did predict them to win the league, but that being said, I still have to say exceeded expectation just for the results they've pulled off. The 1-1 draw at Liverpool, unbelievable. Down to 10 men for 45 minutes at Anfield in front of the Kop. and still managed to sneak away with a point. And to be honest, if they weren't down 10 men, I actually would have put money on them to win that football match. So great for them. Beat Spurs 3-0. Beat us Arsenal 2-0. Okay, they lost 1-0 to Man City. They weren't at the races that day. It is what it is. But they're beating teams for fun. And they've exceeded my expectations in terms of their performance. I knew they'd get results, but performances-wise, they've been outstanding. Crystal Palace next. And to be honest, they're as I expected. They've got a new manager in Patrick Vieira, of course, Arsenal legend. Absolutely love the geezer. And they've started with 1 win, 4 draws and 2 losses. They just need to start converting some of those draws to win. Too many losses in my opinion. Look, if they won half those games they drew and lost half those games that they drew, they'd be in a completely different position in the table. It is what it is. It's adjustment period from going from an experienced managing in Roy Hodgson to a brand new, basically new coach in Patrick Vieira, who's very new to the football management career. It's going to be adjustment period. Zaha's look good. Odsonne Edouard's look amazing from Celtic. Great signing for them. He needs to start over at Benteke. And yeah, they obviously spanked Tottenham 3-0 at Selhurst Park. And we've got them next Arsenal after the international break. So yeah, as I expected for Crystal Palace, got lots of improvements to make, but good foundations. Everton now exceeded my expectations. Now, Everton always have been underachievers. I said this when I predicted the Premier League table. I always look at their squad and think, wow, that's a decent squad, but it never seems to click one way or another, and it's a bitter pill to swallow for Everton fans because they're always like the forgotten club, right? There's a second club in Merseyside. Everyone just seems to forget about Everton. We don't really consider them a top 6 club. We never really mention them. If anything, Leicester's the one knocking on the door. We never really mention Everton to fight, but they've started the season well. Rafa Benitez, obviously a lot of question marks him coming into the job. Less over his pedigree, more because of the Liverpool connections, but has he turned that all around here? Great start. Nicked a point. Well, to be honest, I say nicked a point. They deserved a point against Man United. And they've got Demarai Gray. Oh my God. What a baller. I've said this before, but I love the wingers in the Premier League. Like Saint-Maximin, Ismaili Sarr, Demarai Gray. Absolutely amazing footballers. Do something with the football. That's why I asked. And he's a danger man for them. Coupled together with Richarlison. Got some decent players. Their midfield's great. Doucouré, outstanding player. Allen. He's aggressive, you know what he brings to the table. They've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, of course. England #1 goalkeeper Jordan Pickford. Exceeded my expectations. 4 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. Great start to life in the Premier League 2021-2022 for Everton Football Club. Leeds United. Worse than I expected, to be honest. I knew there'd be a little bit of second season syndrome for Leeds, but I didn't expect it to go this bad. 1 win in their first 7 games. 3 draws and 3 losses. Tough start for Bielsa's men. They need to turn it around quickly. I don't think that the threat of getting relegated, to be honest, but it's defo looking like a worse season than it was last season. I think people were expecting Leeds to kick on from last season rather than regress, and it's looking like right now they're regressing. They need to, obviously, you know the style of play they're going to play. They're gonna lose games, but Leeds are also one of those teams that because of the way they play with that high press, they normally start the season well and end it badly because all the players have been worn out come January, Christmas period when it gets really busy and hectic. They seem to wear out. So if they're starting bad, boy, they've got a lot catching up to do. It's hard to do that when you're looking leggy. But lots of turnaround for Leeds United Football Club. Leicester City, worse than I expected. Leicester, that number 17, well, you can say they're a big 6 club, to be honest. Like, they're definitely the ones teetering to try and break into it. And they're 13th right now. 2 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses. Awful start for Brendan Rodgers. And although this is a Premier League tier list, they've also done awful in Europe. In terms of they've only got 1 point from their first 6 in the Europa League. Plenty to turn around for the club. Jamie Vardy's getting on in age. I don't doubt his attacking prowess, but it is concern that a Daka guy they signed does not look like a good player to me. Maddison doesn't look at the races. Tielemans, he's been here and there, and Didi also. I just think there's a lot to work out of that football club. They've still got the decent players, still got the main players in their squad. Just something isn't clicking right now for Leicester, and they need to figure it out. Come this international break, they need to get some results on the board once it ends. On to Liverpool, and to be honest, Liverpool, as I expected to be fair, 4 wins, 3 draws, 0 losses, about where I thought Liverpool would be. We know what a team Liverpool are. When they had Van Dijk back, you knew they were going to be an outstanding team. I still think their midfield needs a little bit of work, but Liverpool done amazing so far to not lose a game. They're the only unbeaten team in the Premier League. Of course, they got lucky to really get a point against well, actually they weren't really lucky to get a point against Chelsea, but that red card did change the game with Liverpool with Chelsea down to 10 men. Of course, they got a point against Man City after a horrible first half, but other than that, Liverpool always seemed to hang in the game. They go through rough patches, and they just kind of weather it. And then when Liverpool blitz you, it's over. Like, they are clinical. They are, in my opinion, one of the most clinical teams in the Premier League in terms of when Liverpool go on attacks, more times than not, they score in their attacks. How many times do you hear Gary Neville, the commentator, say, during this time, the team needs to score? And Liverpool always seem to. When they go on their attacks, they score more often than not, and they make you pay, and they've done that this season. A couple of times they've been under the cosh. They were under the cosh the first game against Norwich, managed to pull out a win. Leeds, for the first half, Leeds had a couple of big chances. Liverpool still managed to pull away and win. It's a difference between title-winning sides and good sides. And Liverpool are a title-winning, title-challenging side, and they're showing that with being the only team unbeaten and winning some games even when they've been under the cosh. Man City now, and to be fair, Man City, as I expected as well, 4 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. The loss was a bit disappointing to Tottenham, but they always seem to lose to Tottenham. They pulled out an amazing victory at Stamford Bridge. Obviously beat Arsenal. We were awful that day. Got a point at Liverpool, deserved point. Obviously drew to Southampton. That was after the malarkey that was going on with Pep Guardiola and the fans. So you could see the external thoughts going ahead of the game. And other than that, I've just been beating teams for fun. Man City, as I expected, they still do need to sign a striker. That's why I did not put them as title favourites. But of course they're going to be challenging. And they show you, the players they got in the squad, they are good enough to easily win this Premier League title. It's just whether they can put it together enough. And yeah, let's hope that... let Man City hope that they can kick on and go take over Liverpool and Chelsea to go top of the table. I don't, because I'm not a Man City fan. But yeah, that's on them. Manchester United, I want to say, I would have said exceeded expectations, but I'm going to put them in as I expected, purely because since they've signed Cristiano Ronaldo, they've automatically become title challengers, right? I do not necessarily think Man United are a great team. They've got good players, individual players, but team-wise, I don't think they're great. I don't know whether that's their manager. I don't fully trust Ole. I never have. But also don't really trust their system. And I don't trust... I think the players are a bit overhyped, being that they are Manchester United players. Is Paul Pogba an amazing midfielder? 100%. Is he the best midfielder in the world that it makes out sometimes? Nowhere near. Bruno Fernandes, great player. I will never doubt that. Cristiano Ronaldo, of course, world beater. Rashford isn't anything special to me. Martial isn't anything special to me. Sancho, I said at the start when Man United signed him, is overhyped. Like, their team ain't amazing. Like, they've got good individual players, but their team doesn't look amazing. Fred McTominay starting in midfield for them. Like, come on. Is that Manchester United midfield? No. So, they've done as I expected in terms of 1-4, drawn 2, lost 1, 4th in the table. But with Ronaldo, that's got to be their aim at least to challenge for a title. Newcastle now, and they have done worse than I expected. I've always got a soft spot for Newcastle. I've just always liked the club. I don't know what it is, but I've just always liked the club. Of course, the management is a bit dead in terms of Mike Ashley is not doing a great job there, and the fans want him out ASAP. But they've started the season horribly, not won a single game either, so they have to do worse than I expected. Alan St-Maximin is a breath of fresh air. I'll watch Newcastle game just for him. Of course, I've got Willock, the Arsenal boy. He hasn't done nearly as well as he did last season on loan for them. But it's just time for Newcastle to start pulling out some results out of the hat. Steve Bruce is always going to be under pressure there. Because it's unfortunate, because going from Rafa Benitez to any manager not at the level of Rafa Benitez is a shell shock to the system. And it's a tough pill to swallow for Newcastle fans. But I still think they'll be safe this season. Norwich... worse than I expected. Did I think Norwich were going to be bad? Absolutely. Did I think they were going to be 20th come this time? Yes. Did I think they'd be sitting on 1 point after 7 games? No, I thought they'd at least maybe win 1 game or like draw 3 of the opening 7. They're sitting on 1 point, conceding 16 goals and only scoring 2 after 7 games. Like, the Watford manager just got sacked today as I'm recording this video, and to be honest, Daniel Farke should have been the first to go. Like, awful start for Norwich. I know they haven't got the best team on the planet, but come on, you can at least win 1 game out of the opening 7 in the Premier League. Had it been unfortunate? Maybe, but like, you make your own luck at the end of the day. So, really poor start for Norwich City, and they're already looking like relegation, not only candidates, relegation favourites. Southampton also worse than I expected, sitting in 17th, yet to win a game, one of 4 teams to not win a game, and it is what it is for Southampton. They lost their marksman Danny Ings, haven't really recovered in terms of the goals. They've only scored 5 in their opening 7 games. Che Adams has not been carrying the load greatly. James Ward-Prowse is their best player by a country mile. When he's obviously just got a red card against Chelsea, so he'll be missing the next few games, which is a big, big problem for Southampton. They need to get results from somewhere, because I do actually think they're relegation candidates. Tottenham Hotspur now, wow, like, talk about a flip-flop team if you've ever seen it. Night and day, roller coaster Tottenham Hotspur. I'm going to say they're sitting on 8th with 12 points. Look, I'm going to say as I expected. Spurs fans, don't hate me for this. Where they sit in 8th, I would have expected. In terms of the performances-wise, worse than I expected. They sit in 20th in some of these, kind of like, they do, obviously you have the stats, the Premier League table, but they also do like positions for stats, like shots, where were you, shots on target, where do you rank amongst clubs, and they're like bottom for most of them, distance covered for example. So in terms of how they've performed, worse than I expected, but in terms of position wise, sitting in 8th, 4 wins, 3 losses, 12 points, they're about as I expected, Tottenham Hotspur. So yeah, I'm going to put them there, but it's definitely, they're worse than I expected in terms of performance. Watford now, just sacked their manager, and to be honest, like, they've exceeded expectations, but I don't know why they've sacked him. They sit in 15th. Okay, it's not great, but they've won 2, drawn 1, and lost 4. For a promoted club, that's not a bad start to the season. That's not a bad start by any means. 7 points out of your opening 7 games. A point a game, is, if you average that, you should be safe. Like, I don't know what they're expecting. I don't know why they sacked wherever the manager's name, Kike Sanchez, whatever it is. I can't remember what his name was, but I don't know why they sacked him, because I don't know what they're not expecting to challenge for Europe, are they? Because they've done alright. They've conceded 10 goals in 7 games. Not bad for a promoted side. Scored 7 goals in 7 games. Could be better. But I don't think Watford have been bad by any means. By any means at all. Ismail Sarr, obviously a great, great player for them. So yeah, Watford, they've exceeded my expectation. I thought they'd be around the 16th, 17th mark. I thought they would have only won maybe 1 game to start the season. But not bad for Watford, done better than I thought. Of course, they need to maintain this if they want to stay in the Premier League. West Ham United, as I expected, to be fair. 3 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. It's an okay start. They lost Jesse Lingard, who was their best player last season. Mikel Antonio, what a beast, man. What a beast. Honestly, this player is unbelievable. Antonio, man. Honestly, the leaps this guy has made from being a left-back to a left mid to now a striker. I think he scored, what was it, his 50th Premier League goal for West Ham when he did that cardboard cutout celebration. Honestly, what a striker for them. And look, they're sitting in 9th place going into the international break. David Moyes should be happy. They're still fighting in Europe, and they've done very well in Europe. They've started extremely well there as well. He can't complain starting the season there, but they did as well as I expected. And finally, Wolves did as I expected as well. New manager, they started horribly, but now they've won 3 games and lost 4, 9 points, 12th in the league. It's a new start for them. They finally got Raul Jimenez scoring with his headband on after his injury against Arsenal last season. And they also got that South Korean guy, I've forgotten his name, like Hwan Lee. I really don't want to butcher his name, but like Hwan Lee something. Looks very, very good. He scored 3 goals recently for them, 2 in their last win. He's looking like a great, great striker. And if them two can form a partnership, wow, Wolves could be firing up this Premier League table, and that might be their replacement for Diego Jota, who of course has gone to Liverpool. So yeah, that is my final ranking tier list for the Premier League clubs so far starting the season. 7 games played each, and whether I think they've exceeded my expectations, done worse than I expected, or about as good. Leave it in the comment section down below whether you agree or disagree with my list. And also, if you're new and if you enjoy the football content I provide for free on YouTube, please consider subscribing on my road to 700, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.